Welcome back to Bringing the Talk Season 2, Episode 2. We're in the building. I appreciate you guys for coming back to another episode. Today, we have a special guest. And, all podcast people say, podcast hosts, I would say everybody's a special guest, but they're a one of one, so they are definitely a special guest. But today we have a very talented video creator. She has a passion for capturing timeless moments. She recently dove headfirst, never done it before. She's been in the sports world, and she also has a short film out now. You guys will find out who that guest is right after this. Welcome back, guys. Episode 2, Season 2. Like I mentioned, we have another creative out of the city of Toronto. And like I said, she, a talented video creator. I've seen some of the stuff that she's done. Without further ado, Season 2, Episode 2's guest, Magdalena. Welcome.
Hi guys, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Nice. I appreciate you for being on. And the first thing that I remember, even when we pulled up first time, the chain.
Yes.
That's hard.
222.
She has a 222 chain.
I have it always.
And it's Season 2, Episode 2.
Yeah,
you can't write this.
Alignment is perfect. It's crazy.
Right? But yeah, tell the people who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Magdalena. I am a sports videographer for the TMU Bold, which is where we're at right now. We're shooting at the Magdalena Athletic Center, which is where all of our varsity teams play. I am in my third year of the media production program, and I started shooting sports in my very first year of university. It was the first month of my first year, and I got an email talking that athletics was hiring, and I saw the sports videographer role, and I was like, I would love to do that, but I've never shot sports in my life. So I applied for the social media position, and I was like, let me be an assistant. I can be around sports, whatever. And I didn't hear back for 2 weeks after that, and I was like, oh, I guess I didn't get the job. And then they emailed me, and they're like, we think that you actually would be better for the videographer position. Do you want it? And deep down, obviously, I was like, yeah, I really want it. But I said to them, I was like, I've never done sports before, so is that fine? And they were like, yeah, I think you'd be good. So I was like, okay, I'll do it, and then the rest is history, as they say, and I'm so glad that happened.
Wow.
But yeah, so I've been doing sports now for the better part of the past 2 years, and also kind of dabbling in the world of creative directing and film a little bit. I just love anything that has to do with video. I love video editing, and just being able to tell stories. Honestly, it's kind of
interesting.
Yeah.
So with I know you don't do just one sport. You kind of venture out. Have you had any kind of sports background at all?
So I was honestly a competitive dancer growing up. So I danced for a good while.
Dancing is a sport. Shout out.
Exactly, 100%.
Dancing is a sport.
Yeah, 100%. So I was honestly a dancer for a while. I stopped when I was around 13, 14 years old, and then I got into musical theater a little bit. So I was doing singing, dancing, and acting. And at the same time that I was doing that, I ran track for a few years, kind of with my school. And then I played rugby for 1 year in high school, which was great. Yeah.
So you have a different type of pain tolerance.
Yeah, surprisingly, which when I wanted to do it, everyone was like, you're going to do rugby? And I was like, I don't know why I wanted to do it so bad. And obviously it takes a bit of getting used to when you're getting hit like that, but it was exhilarating. You're just I want to get back out there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it was fun, it was good.
But okay, so then you're shooting different sports, getting different angles, different highlights.
Yeah.
What has been, if you can rank them, top 3 favorite sports to shoot?
Oh, top 3, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm gonna put.
Start with 3.
Start with 3. Okay, if I'm gonna start with 3, I think I'm gonna go with hockey, which might be controversial because I'm working on a hockey documentary this year. But I'm gonna put hockey at 3.
Okay.
It is pretty hard to shoot just because it's a big space, and if you don't have a good zoom lens, it can get kind of difficult. I did actually just buy a zoom lens finally. I got a 70-200, dropped a lot of money on it, but it's gonna be worth it.
Yeah,
so
investments.
I'm excited. Yeah, exactly. But it can be hard to shoot because it's such a big space, and it moves so quick, and the puck is this big when you're up there. So it's tough to just see where everything's happening. But at the same time, you do get very good kind of celebration shots, especially after goals and everything. And it's a lot kind of happens for you to be able to add in to make a story out of it. Put hockey 3rd. 2nd and 1st, I have it in my head. I think I'm gonna put soccer 2nd. I've always loved soccer growing up. I mean, we're a big soccer family. My sister plays soccer. I have a lot of cousins who play soccer.
Okay, nice.
So we're a big soccer family. Soccer is also very hard to shoot because, as you can imagine, it's like a massive field. So again, same thing, like you need a zoom lens for it.
Yeah.
But the energy is amazing. Like every soccer game I've ever filmed, like once like a goal happens, even for like our TMU games, like once a goal happens, like the crowd just like goes nuts, and it's like absolutely incredible. And recently I've had the chance to actually do some work with Canada Soccer for both the women's and men's teams, and I'll actually be at the women's game on Tuesday, which I'm really excited for. But like just the environment is crazy, and I think one thing that I always look for whenever I'm shooting sports is like I really enjoy the environments, because like that makes the game in a way. Like when it's like a super crazy crowd and everyone's like cheering, screaming, like it's what makes it a lot more fun. So I definitely put soccer second. I think I put basketball first, just because same thing. Like it's what's good about basketball is that there's always something happening. Like for soccer and hockey, it's like you might not even get a goal in a game. Like you know what I mean? So that's the one like downside to. Whereas basketball, like something's always going to happen. Environments always go crazy. Like I just kind of said, like atmosphere for basketball is always going to be nuts, especially after like a three or a dunk. Like it's just like it gets crazy, and then you get a lot of good celebrations from the actual like players as well too. And so it's very dynamic, very like action packed. Always something happening, and it's very fun to edit. So I think that's my order.
So you're saying that basketball is holding the top spot. I saw you shot with our rookie. You're no longer a rookie anymore, but how was that, just being in the presence of like a professional basketball player and like recording them?
Yeah, it was nuts, honestly. So this was during, referring to Scotty, right?
Shout out Scotty. Shout out Scotty.
So it was nuts because that summer I had actually like seen him a few times because we had a global jam here, and I knew that he was going to show up, but like I didn't know when, like just to come to watch. And it was funny because I'm sitting on the baseline and I hear like movement right behind me. And I'm just like, okay, like whatever. I turn around and he's sitting directly behind me, and I was just like, oh my god! I was like, what the heck? Now I've only been doing sports for like less than a year at this point. Like I was still pretty new to it. I'm like, Scotty Barnes is sitting directly behind me right now. So I kind of was like, well, I have to ask to get a picture of him. Like I can't like not do it when he's right behind me. So it took me a bit of like talk in my head. I was like, yeah, you can do it. And then I got up and I was just like, hi Scotty, like do you mind if I take a few pictures of you? And like he posted them and it was great. And I was like, awesome. And then like the next month he came back for the Pro-Am. That was nuts just because like you're seeing literally the rookie of the year in like your just university gym. Like it was just kind of nuts, and like the crowd, it was packed in there, like packed to the brim, wall to wall, like people everywhere. Malachi Flynn also played in that game, so it was just great. It was really fun to see like so much talent on the court. And what was good about that I enjoyed was that they were very open to having various media come in, and so it really kind of gave me like that flexibility to be able to get whatever I want and like capture all the content that I wanted. So it was just a crazy environment, and it's so cool to be able just to watch them like that close up in front of you, because obviously if you're at like an NBA game, if you're not like courtside, like you're not seeing it like up close, but like having them be like right in front of me,
and you realize like how big they are.
100%. I was
and
like, what the heck?
The skill to be that big, even in other sports too, the skill to be that big and like still move the way they do with the quickness.
It was crazy. Like I felt like I was just like, oh, where am I right now? Like it's so, you get so used to like your university sports, obviously, and then when you see it kind of at the next level, it's just like a whole different like
I can't even imagine
world. It's crazy. But it was great.
Wow. So tell me about like your first year shooting, because I know like you said, it was your first time doing that. Like the opportunity was kind of presented to you. You felt like you may not have been ready. So that must have came with a lot of anxiety, a lot of pressure. 100%. What was the first year like, and like, you know, like what kind of challenges did you overcome? So
honestly, I think the biggest thing at first was just getting used to like the pacing of the games, because like I knew that like reels and sort of like hype videos was starting to become like a big thing, but I honestly had no clue how to like even shoot for them or edit them, because like obviously it does mostly come down to the editing, but you have to be able to get the shots for it too.
Exactly.
So that was like an adjustment, just kind of like making sure that I'm grabbing the right moments, and also if you think about it too, like when you're making a recap, you don't want to be just purely game footage, right? Like you want to include stuff with the coaches or the fans or whatever. So it'd be like a bit of an adjustment to get used to shooting like everything and not just like the people on the field or the court or whatever. So that was obviously tough. Also in terms of just like my team that I work with, I had a great team to work with, first of all. Like all the videographers that I worked with were like excellent mentors. And they've all gone on to do amazing things. Like they've been like so talented. But I was the only girl on my like little content team. So that was kind of stressful at first. I was just like, I just didn't know how to kind of like operate in that environment. I think I was always just kind of anxious that I was going to be perceived a certain way or like not taken seriously, or like I was just kind of scared that people weren't going to believe that I was meant to be there, if that makes sense. So that was kind of something that I had to work around. But honestly, like once I got to know them, like it was obviously fine, but kind of in those first few weeks, I was just like, I feel like I'm not supposed to be here. Like I just felt like I'm very much like an outsider.
What did you do to like combat that?
Yeah, honestly, like in terms of that situation, I really just, the more I worked with them, the more I like put myself out there, like it got better. I found like when I was holding myself back because of like potential fears is when it got worse. Because like in reality, it was just my anxiety talking. Like I'm worried about things that aren't even for sure, haven't even happened yet, and I'm just holding myself back. So I was like, I have to just go into it like head first. And like you can't be afraid to put yourself out there. It's still something that I combat now to this day. Maybe not with like my inner group, but like whenever I go out to do other opportunities or kind of bigger things, I do kind of those same feelings sort of come back, where I just worry like people don't think I should be here, like whatever. Like for example, I'm a video editor for the CFL right now, and I'm the only girl on the entire team. And like,
big up.
Thank you.
What the hell? Nice.
Like like our first team meeting over Zoom, like I'm sitting there and I'm just like, like. Do you want to check?
They just shut out the lights.
Yeah, I know. But so I'm sitting in that first kind of like team Zoom meeting, and I was just like, girl here, and only black girl at that, like only like person of color,
which adds another
level to it, right? So again, those same sort of anxieties kind of creep in, and just kind of being like, okay, I'm really gonna have to like hold my own. But I think the biggest thing that I've learned through all of that is just it's really important to maintain a really strong sense of self. Like I have to know who I am, I have to know that I'm talented, and just go in there and be exactly who I am, and like I'm gonna succeed either way. So that was kind of how I've dealt with it to this day. But sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent a little bit. But going back to my first year, so like those are kind of the main anxieties that I had. But I did find that like the more that I did it, the better I got pretty quick. Like I found that like within my first 4 months, recaps and like hype videos I was making were like already so much better than they had been like even 3-4 months before that. So honestly, with practice, it really got so much better. And
just
then
being like comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly, right? The more I had to like force myself to put myself out there, the more comfortable I got in those environments. And then by the time we hit like the second half of the season, I was just like, I can, like this is like, felt like very natural, right? And like I really enjoyed it. And then that season, actually our women's basketball team remained undefeated, and we went on to win both the OUA championships and the national championship. So I got to go to my first national championship in my first year ever doing it, which was like
so
nuts.
Crazy.
And we won everything. So like, obviously content from that was incredible. I had made a recap of our OUA championship game because basically like we had been down the entire game. We were down by 22 points in the fourth quarter with like 2 minutes left.
Say that again. How many points were they down?
Oh, we were
you can't write this.
2022. We were down by 22 points.
Come on, man.
In the fourth quarter.
That's
with like
crazy.
2 minutes left, maybe. Like it was like whatever, and we came back, forced overtime, and then beat them in overtime, and like won the OUAs. So obviously, like insane game, and I knew I was like I had to make a crazy recap to like match up with this. Like I can't just not do that. So I did make a recap about that, and my boss actually submitted it to the OUA awards without telling me. Like he didn't tell me that he was going to do it. And one day he calls me, he's like, I submitted your video to the OUA awards and you won. And I was like, oh, okay. So like then I won an award in my very first year of doing it, and like that was a nuts feeling because it just kind of showed me like, okay, you stuck it through, you didn't quit when you wanted to quit, and you like progressively worked on getting better, and this is the outcome that it led you to. So
and that was the outstanding promotional video award, by the way.
Yes.
Crazy. That's wild. So, within your first year, you did talk about, a little bit of anxiety that you may have felt, and that discomfort there. With your short film, Disquietude.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us about that. And how that came about.
Yeah, so Disquietude, I based that a lot off of some of my own experiences.
One second.
It's based a lot off of some of my own experiences. I kind of developed anxiety when I was about 10 years old, I want to say, so pretty young, but it really kind of hit, I don't want to say like it's worse, but like around like 2020 COVID kind of era, like I just kind of struggled a lot with COVID, which I'm sure a lot of us did, right? So, but that kind of really forced me to learn how to better cope with it and everything. And so in my class last year, when I found out we got the opportunity to direct and like write our own short film, I knew that I wanted to make it something that was personal to me because that's how I was going to be able to put the most emotion into it and like authenticity and like tell the best story.
Yeah.
And so sort of like anxiety was the first thing that came into my mind, and I wanted it to focus a lot on like panic attacks or anxiety attacks because I know how emotional they can be. I know like how just like tolling it can be on someone, and I really wanted to sort of convey that. And so my goal with Disquietude was to show a girl having a panic attack, but I also wanted to make sure that I portrayed anxiety. So anxiety in the film is portrayed as like a dark figure, right? And it kind of just pops up out of nowhere, and so it was kind of meant, it was nuts, right?
Yeah. Even the edit too, I was just like, whoa, like I was in it, I was involved.
Okay, good. That's what I wanted, right? So I just wanted to kind of show that like anxiety follows you around almost at all times, and it kind of can just pop up on you whenever. And to the outside world, you might not see it, but like you are feeling it on the inside. So that's why I kind of wanted to represent it by this dark figure that kind of just pops up out of nowhere and like stays behind her the entire time. So yeah, when it came to the shooting, I had a great group of friends to help me out with it. We shot it in my apartment, which is very helpful because I wanted to feel just like home, like homey. I just wanted to feel like you're just in your regular like comfortable environment, and then it just like pops up on you. So we shot it all in one day, which was crazy, but we worked on it from like 12 until like 8 o'clock at night. We just shot everything in one day straight. And then with the editing took me like a minute because I really wanted to make sure I was editing it like how I envisioned it in my mind. And so in the film, like you kind of see like when her panic attack starts, you hear like a ringing start coming up and like her heart starts beating. Like I really wanted to put an emphasis on sound effects because sound effects can totally transform a film, a video, 100%. And I was just like, I wanted to make it feel very hectic almost, like very just like I wanted the viewers to get anxious like watching it, which probably sounds bad, but like I wanted them to take on like what she was feeling. So that was one way that I did it. And then when you kind of see the visual effects, when her panic attack starts, it kind of gets a little bit blurry and kind of like disoriented. And so I wanted to add that in paired with like the ringing to kind of add it together. And then when it came to the end, ending it with her friend asking her like, are you okay? And like really emphasizing it because I find that for me at least, it's always been tough to admit to people that I have anxiety because maybe part of me just feels a little bit embarrassed, or I just feel like it's, in my mind, I feel like I'm overreacting or making it more serious than it is. And I don't really feel ever like okay with telling people that I'm not okay. So I wanted to end it with just kind of like realizing that, or help people realize that it's okay to not be okay and to tell your friends, your family or whatever that you're not okay, right? So it was kind of my vision behind it, and it turned out well.
With that video, you're transferring a lot of, well, the emotion that you're transferring was anxiety. So you can kind of put those people in the place so that they can feel what it is. With your sports videos, what emotion are you trying to transfer to the audience in that sense?
My biggest thing with that is like, it's never one set emotion, because basically what I always try to do is I want people who are watching the video to feel like they were at the game themselves. So I want them to just feel every single emotion that was ever going on, right? And so whether that's like the hype from the crowd, or whether it's like maybe it's a sad loss and everyone's feeling upset, like whatever emotion was happening in the atmosphere when I was shooting, I try my best to replicate that for the audiences at home. So they're just able to kind of take on like what was happening. But I do think like if I had to pick one emotion though, I think definitely just like the thrill of it, like, you know what I mean, just like that happiness, like that hype, like when you're watching something you just get like goosebumps. That's what I want to like replicate, because like I get goosebumps like shooting things sometimes. Like, so I just want to kind of make sure that that feeling sort of stays. Like I remember in my first year, thankfully we had masks in this period of time, because at like our OUA championship, like I was getting into the game too, and like I had to like learn to not do that because you can hear my voice in all my videos. But like when you're there, like you're just in it, like you're just like, oh, like you just love it, right? So like that was what I wanted to make sure I put into like all my videos, so that everyone at home is watching it is like, oh, this is like amazing. So
interesting. But one thing that like interests me, not every game is gonna be that championship blowout where everybody's amped and like, let's go, the right plays being made every time. From a video creator standpoint, how do you approach it when, let's say that your team's getting blown out by like 20, you guys are on the opposite end? Like, how do you go about like still capturing some content, but then it's like, okay, but we lost. Like, how do you go about that?
For those sorts of games, I always try to, it ends up being kind of more focused on like the different plays that were happening, which does get tough because like if you're getting blown out the entire game, then you don't have like much. But let's say like it's soccer, for example. Like I've had to make a few soccer recaps where the team ended up losing. I really would just focus it on maybe just like shots of them sprinting, or like maybe they get like some good footwork, or I'll do like, or for those I'll start to focus more on like close-ups so you can see their emotion. So maybe instead I'll cut to like close-ups of the goalie's face or like the coaches on the bench or whatever to kind of like act as like fillers a little bit. And I'll still try to use sound effects to make it a bit more engaging, right? So if someone's sprinting, for example, I add like a whoosh beside it just to kind of make it feel like a bit more. Like you know what I mean? Yeah. So like you might not see any goals in it, but like kind of by pairing up like emotion on the actual players' faces with like sound effects and like the song choice too, kind of helps it keep it a bit more exciting if it wasn't a very exciting game.
Interesting.
So.
But that's great that you say that. How does your approach change when you're shooting like sports versus if you're doing like a film? Because like it's still, you're still recording something, you still have an idea in mind, but like how do you approach it differently with both sides?
I feel like on the film side it's obviously a lot more technical, because for the film side like you have to write, like you're doing all your paperwork, for example, right? So you're writing out your script. For paperwork you usually have to like draw out your storyboards, you have to have like a shot list plan, like you have your, like all your setups kind of planned out, and so I find that it's more technical on that side of things. Like it has to be basically like very planned out, and like what we learned in our program is that like if your pre-planning is really bad, your film's gonna be really bad. Like most of it kind of comes down to like all of your planning before you even start to shoot, and so that's where like most of the I think attention goes into the pre-planning for film. It's a lot more technical, and then when you're actually shooting, it's usually like multiple takes and you're changing things around kind of on the fly, and you got to do it again and again and again until you get the perfect shot. Like they always recommend like you do like at least like 3 takes of everything, just so you have like kind of options. And then it also comes with like lighting difficulties, or the audio's not working, or the camera died, and it's just like, it's a lot, right? So you have to kind of, it's terrible, like it's so bad. So you have to kind of prepare yourself for a lot of things to go wrong. And like even with my short film, we had that, like we got to my apartment, and so everyone else, all the other groups in our class were filming at school, which helped because like the prof is right there to help you. But I left, which like I was just like, I want to leave. And I had my profs like email or whatever, but we get there and the mic's not working. And I'm like, well, we need audio. So we spent like a good hour like just trying to figure it out and having to kind of go back and forth. Now thankfully I live close to school, so it wasn't like I had to like drive anywhere or whatever. But just that going back and forth obviously wasted some time, right? So there's gonna be things that come up that you're not anticipating. Whereas on the sports side, it's a lot less, like you might go into it, like I went to my shoots being like, okay, I want to make sure I get like this shot, like whatever, but I don't hold myself to like a very specific shot list. I kind of just go in and just get whatever I feel like getting. Like maybe I'll get my few that I know I want, but I kind of just read the room a little bit, right? And like see what the situation's like and kind of base off of that. So it's a lot less kind of like planned out and technical. And then I find that like, whereas film, a lot of the focus goes into the pre-planning. My sports stuff, a lot of it goes into the post-production. So like once I'm actually done and I have all my shots, then I'm sitting there like, okay, like what song do I want to use? How do I want this video to go? Like what sound effects? And I'm like spending time looking through everything, looking through all my footage and like putting it all together. That's where I find that it kind of differs for sure. And also with sports, like you don't get multiple takes, right? So like that's why I always like if you miss the shot, you miss it and you're not getting it back. Like you know what I mean? That's like the hardest part. There have been so many times where I've been like I remember last season on my women's soccer team, it was, I can't even talk about it because I get so upset that I missed this, but it was raining. So like obviously already like whenever there's rain involved, it's already like a very like cinematic game, right? One of our strikers scores and she runs and slides across the ground on her stomach and I missed it. And to this day, I'm just like, every time I think about it,
did you see it?
I saw it with my eyes, but because what was happening was that we only had one videographer on that game at the time, and usually there's 2, but like there was a bit of a mishap or whatever. And so in sports, like we, at least at TMU, like we always put an emphasis on getting out like in-game reel. So whenever something big happens, we edit it basically like right afterwards and we post it on socials like a bit after, right? So they had just gotten like 2 goals before that, so I was editing the 2 goals, and then as I was editing, she did that, and I was like, I was so angry. And to this day, I think about it, and I'm just like, man, it would have been like the highlight of like my life if I got that video.
It is what it is.
It would have
been a crazy like intro or something.
It would have been nuts. But like, it's one of those things, right? So it's like, whereas for film, you can like do it again and again until you get it right. For sports, you got to be like on it, because if you miss it, like you're not getting that. Unless someone else got the shot for you, like you're not getting that.
That's why it's probably like very important to have like a team around you.
Oh,
so that
100%. Like, well, last night was our homecoming, and it was like, and we knew we needed all hands on deck because it's gonna be like, again, like massive crowd, like whatever. So there was 4 of us there in total. One of them was on crowd shots, one of them was on game shots, like just like game coverage.
Yeah.
I was filming, I had mic'd up the coach, so I was mostly filming him and like the bench and stuff. And the last one was kind of doing like extra support of just getting like B-roll of whatever. And it's like, yeah, like I could never imagine doing a homecoming game with like 2,700 fans and 1 videographer. Like you're not getting what you need, right? Yeah. So it is very helpful to have kind of like a team around you for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you spoke on the missed opportunity there, which will present itself in another way. Probably already has, you know, like the reward, that's a pretty big. But what are some like funny moments while you're shooting?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a good question, honestly. But obviously you get those like few words like, get trampled like by a player, like especially in basketball happens a lot. Like obviously, like if someone's running to try to like save the ball from going out, they're gonna, and you're sitting right there, they're gonna fall on you, right? So like that's always happened to me a bit, where you're just kind of like getting fallen on. Oh, funny moments. That's a good. I'm trying to think.
You know, I actually have one. I have one that you.
You have one?
Yeah.
Oh my God, wait,
so like I saw. Because like. So you were shooting for a hockky.
Oh.
Yep. I'll let you tell it.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I posted just last night,
did,
right? Yeah. Okay, yeah, so we're filming, sorry.
I was watching it, I'm like dying.
It's hilarious,
Boy,
is it not?
jokes.
That's so funny. So we were shooting like our hockey promo shoot for homecoming. And so we had kind of planned it out with our marketing team over the summer that we were gonna have it on the ice with like strobe lights and like all that, right? Also, they had their new jerseys finally, so it was gonna be a bit of like a jersey reveal at the same time.
Yeah.
This was like a month ago now, but yeah, so we're shooting, and I was kind of getting the guys to do different kind of poses and shots, and I was like, I wanted to make it look as like cinematic-y as possible because I knew that like for the trailer, we wanted to kind of, like the theme of Homecoming was like Marvel, like superhero type thing, and so the trailer, I wanted to be very much like a Marvel movie almost. I was like, it would be cool if they kind of have different poses and stuff, and so I was like, oh, I said to the guy, I'm like, can you like stop and like, you know, shred the ice and like just have it hit my camera?
Yeah.
He's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I'm telling you right now, I'm like, I'll clean it off. Like, it'll be fine. Just like get the snow to go on the camera because I really wanted to like cover the screen.
Yeah.
So it was funny. He did it first and he like barely stopped. And it was like, no ice. And I was like, no, I'm telling you right now. I'm like, it's like, I don't care if it gets me like drenched, like do it. So it'd be funny if you put the video. I'll send it to you after.
No, yeah.
So you guys are gonna see what. Yeah. But I'm like crouching on the ground, like literally like down on the ground. I have my camera tilted up like this. So and this is a tall, like he's tall.
Yeah.
He's a tall guy.
Plus on skates too, like.
Exactly. Like he's definitely like easily like 6'4", 6'5". So he's like skating at me, stops, and the ice just comes all the way up. And like not only does it like hit my camera how I wanted it to, it like lands all on me. And my hair was out. And like all my friends in the back were like, oh, like everyone was just like, okay. And I stood up and I literally was like, and my hair was like soaking. It doesn't look like a lot on camera, like in the video, but like my hair was wet. Like there's just like snow in my hair, right? So I'm kind of just like letting it out and wiping off my camera. But I got the shot. I got the shot, and that's all that matters. I got the shot, and it was fire, and that's all that matters. But that was
fire
really
on
funny.
ice. Come on now. Nice. So we'll wrap up the episode here. It's been great conversations, you know, hearing about your first year, your short film, overcoming anxiety and getting that under control. What would you say, I like to end off every episode with, you know, some advice from the guest. What would you say is like, you know, just some advice you would give to somebody who is either starting out or is well into their career, but they're kind of just trying to find that passion again?
Yeah.
What's some advice you give to them?
Oh, that's a good one. I think I would definitely say get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Exactly. Like 100%. I know you kind of said it earlier too, but like every time I think just to any experience I've ever had in the past years of me doing this, there have been so many times where I've been like terrified, and I'm just like, I just have to go for it, because I'm like, realistically, like there's always going to be that what if in the back of your mind, like, hey, what if I had gone, like what would have happened, right? And you never want to have that, like you never want to live with regret, especially in this kind of industry where things are moving so fast. Like once an opportunity comes around, you honestly might never get it again. And so it's very scary, obviously, and it's like tough to kind of put yourself in new environments, but once you get there, it honestly can end up turning out like the experience of your lifetime. Even my entire career, like if I had never even applied for anything in general, I would have never gotten to where I am now. You
or
know
even
what I mean?
when they said, we think you'd be better for this position, if you're like, oh no, I was kind of just wanting to go there.
Exactly. I could have said no, and I knew like it made me uncomfortable, but I was like, let me just do it. Like, let me just see what happens. So I think definitely like be okay with being uncomfortable and like bet on yourself. Like take that risk, you know, like you never know how it's going to end up. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to work in your favor. So,
Yeah.
So
And if it doesn't, then you got to open another door.
100%.
Exactly.
And like 222 means you're always at the right place at the right time.
Right place,
so if
right
it doesn't
time.
work out for you, that means that it's just not your time yet, or there's something else better that's coming for you. So,
Jeez.
yeah.
That's what it here first.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that wraps up episode 2. I really appreciate you guys for, you know, tuning in. I'm your host, Jay Breezy, aka Jay Breezy. It's my wonderful guest, Magdalena. I want to see bear twos in the comments, man.
Oh,
Come on
100%.
now.
Just everywhere.
Twos.
Spam it.
Well, I appreciate you for coming
Yeah,
on.
thank you for having me.
And yeah, that's episode 2 right there.
Okay, we got
Cheers.
it. Thanks, guys.
Nice.
Awesome.